I think ever since you've come into office, things are really looking up. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything. No, it really has been a tough first year for you, Mr. President. Gas is up, gas is up, gas is up, everything. Rent is up, everything, everything, everything. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything.
Well, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, and it is time for Bizarro-World. All right, we've got Jolene in, and Uman slipping on in. Good golly, folks, what a crazy, crazy world we live in. I wanted to do a little public service announcement. I've got a few of those here. And get your questions down below. Get them down below, and Uman and Jolene can separate them, sift them, and see which ones we want to talk about today. But really, the theme is it's Bizarro-World, folks. So we've had banking collapses going on, and we keep hearing that one bank can help another. That money just kind of shifts around. It's a pea in a shell game. So I figured we would go to the archives to figure out how banks help each other out, how they seem to have free money, but we don't. Anyways, take a look at this. I want to thank Mr. Skylight for providing this powerful content.
Picking the money, how about the $20 you owe me?
Oh, yeah? Well, I only got 10, so here's 10, I owe you 10.
Thanks.
Hey, Mo, you owe me 20.
Well, here's 10, and I'll owe you 10.
You owe me 20.
Here's 10, I owe you 10.
Here's the 10 I owe you.
Here's the 10 I owe you.
Here's the 10 I owe you.
Good, now we're all even.
And that's how that works, folks. Can you believe it? I can, because that's exactly how it works. They just hand each other money back and forth, and it doesn't seem to cost them a damn thing at all. Anyways, yeah, that's how it works. Now, it is Bizarro-World, so I figured I would take a little dig at the fruitcakes out there, because they've taken a losing shot, pow, right to the head. The World Athletics Association, whatever that is, has decided to ban biological males from competing against women at international events. Why is this such a shocker? Well, it's only a shocker if you live in Bizarro-World, because over there, they're like, what do you mean? Trans men who want to be women can't compete against women? That's just not fair. It's not fair to exclude them. And once again, here's the solution. This is the solution. Men compete against men. Women compete against women. And trans men can compete against other trans men. That just, to me, makes the most sense. If you want to not be a man, but you're not quite a woman, why don't you compete in a ever-growing category of loser males who are now trans women? It just makes sense to me. Really, it just makes sense. And again, the whole theme of this particular show, it has nothing to do with, of course, your questions, your comments. If you're on the preparedmind.club or subscribestar.com, you're here live. You have the opportunity to ask questions, join in the conversation, etc. In fact, you get to direct the show. And to participate, all you got to do is put in $2 a month, and that's it. You got live access, live discussion every day of the week. So let's continue with Bizarro-World. In New Mexico, the attorney speaks in a training session to teachers and had this to say: parental rights end when you send your kids to public school. Did you know that? Were you aware of that? I wasn't aware that parental rights end when you send your kids to school. It's fucking beyond belief to me that that's their thinking. As soon as your child is not in your sight, as soon as you send your kids to public school, see how their language works? As soon as they get on the bus, you no longer have parental rights. Okay, so while a child is in school, you're not their parent. You go to school and the teacher says something, the kid has to obey the teacher, but not you. I mean, it makes zero sense. But I think what this is really about is making teachers feel safe in grooming children. But folks, it really truly is a crime. But they want teachers to be able to tell kids whatever they want. Tell them that their parents are evil, that they're white supremacists, that they're racist, that they're the descendants of slave owners, and therefore it's a crime to be their parent, and they should, listen to school. Yeah, unbelievable, folks. Your parental rights end when you send your kids to public school. It wasn't that way when I had kids, and it certainly wasn't that way when I was a kid. So what has changed? There's a little thing called, the Democrats who really feel brave call themselves progressives. And they've been progressing towards totalitarianism from the beginning. They just get there slowly. They're progressive. Unbelievable, folks. It is stunning to me how these people have no respect, no regard for anyone but their own political objectives. Truly bizarro world. And it's bizarro world that more of these people haven't ended up being shot. Now, I want to say in a bizarro world, right, we're supposed to maintain a high level of confusion so we don't understand what's going on. But we got a little story here that, here it is. Uman and others who took this position were correct. Everything going on with the Manhattan DA and Trump has been a huge publicity stunt, and everyone involved has been taking advantage. That is correct. Are you ready for it? The Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, has struck. He's pissed off. He's cursing at. He's criticizing the House Republicans. And he's blaming Trump for arrest rumors as this case fails, falls, crashes, and takes a shit. By the way, the grand jury was dispersed again today. This is a huge distraction. This is a huge publicity stunt. Now, let's take Alvin Bragg at his word. Trump is responsible for the arrest rumors. There you have it. If Trump is responsible, somehow he controls the mainstream media. Well, he's certainly benefited from it because he's gotten a lot of political attention over it. But like I said, there's no win on this for you and I. If Trump were to be arrested, the lunatic left in Bizarro World would go apeshit and say, see, we told you, he's a bad guy. And anyone that supported him is a bad guy, and they need to be equally punished, and they'll not forget who we are. And if Trump doesn't get arrested, he's just snake in the grass, lying piece of crap, and everyone that supports him is the same. They're getting away with, breaking the law here. And so no matter what, the hate level goes up. The Trump derangement syndrome goes up. And Trump's popularity on the other side goes up. What basically we're getting is a huge conflagration of, what do we call this? Just psychological problems as these people burn themselves to the ground in emotional, bizarre stupor. Anyways, speaking of that, we continue to have people trying to bring down the Prepared Mind channel, and we continually stop them. So I thought it would be beneficial to have this public service announcement just for the trolls. Let's take a little listen, and we'll have some fun.
Now you have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punks?
We know that trolls are among the stupidest people around. So John would like to educate them on an important legal concept: tortious interference. That's when one party tries to get between two people doing business together and interrupt their arrangement. Kind of like the contractual arrangement John has with YouTube. Understand? If a third party comes along and tries to disrupt John's ability to do business, that's a crime. The law calls it wrongful conduct if a disinterested third party makes a claim that goes beyond opinion and alleges facts, such as claiming that John is spreading so-called medical misinformation. That crosses the line into illegality. It means John's channel gets a strike, and he loses income. And that's where tortious interference comes in. Because these ignorant trolls don't understand, they just set themselves up to be sued in a court of law. One minute they think they're anonymous, and the next YouTube hands over their names and IP addresses. Bingo. As Clint Eastwood said in Dirty Harry, "Are you feeling lucky, punk? Are you?" Because as a former law student, John isn't afraid to use the legal system to punish those who think it's funny to mess with his channel. And they'll find out the hard way he'll sue for every penny. So once again, are you feeling lucky, punk? Are you?
You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Well, I found that to be quite entertaining at the very least. Thank you there, Mr. T. Now, back to Bizarro-World. Yeah, folks, Bizarro-World, where the people think they can cancel you, dox you, and harm you, well, psychologically, physically, that's assault, and financially. Well, it's all criminal behavior in the real world. Now, there's another one that's coming. And it kind of falls in line with that. Well, there's a news article today popped up that in Australia, banks are debanking independent journalists because they want to exercise free speech. Folks, banks have been canceling free speech here in America, and they'll use any excuse they wish. They want to harm you and your ability to make an income. They want to harm you and your ability to conduct business. When is this going to end? Well, it's not going to end, folks, before it gets much, much worse. So get ready for it. Seriously, get ready for it. I really think it's coming in a big way. Now, in Bizarro-World, this next story happens all the time. All the time. In real life, no. In the real world, this never happened at all. But now it happens all the time. You bet. On an American Airlines flight, folks, a young boy, well, they're saying his death was caused because an onboard defibrillator wasn't charged. So it's American Airlines' fault that some kid died. Well, he had a heart attack and died, and they really want to believe that a defibrillator would have saved his life. Folks, take a wild guess, if you will. Take a wild guess why this kid died. Was it because a defibrillator didn't work, or did he die because his heart stopped? And he is another victim of the Jim Jones juice. We used to never have children dying of heart attacks. Sure, there are other diseases out there and children get them. Certainly, it's possible. Are we just now paying attention, or were his heart attacks something that is just a huge problem? Well, that's my opinion. It truly is my opinion, because I don't remember hearing about children dying left and right. Unbelievable. Now we're talking about Bizarro-World, and it's pretty funny because even though it is Bizarro-World, it's not stupid enough yet for Chuck Schumer, because even Chuck Schumer, as dumb as he is, even he has hesitated to endorse Alvin Bragg's bullshit lawsuit against Trump. Why is that, do you think? Do you think because even Chuck Schumer knows it's a complete, total bullshit sham? Interesting how quickly people get on board, right? And other politicians, the media, dupes on the street. It's just a shit show extraordinaire. But we're not done. But wait, there's more. More from Bizarro-World, folks. And the reason I'm doing this Bizarro-World episode is because every story is just fucking bizarre. But these aren't one-offs. This isn't just a bad day. This is what we're suffering every week, and it is bizarre. It is extra intellectual, or beyond, or underneath, or absent of intellectual. USA Today, the veritable newspaper of the world, well, at least of the USA, they have honored Mr. Woman of the Year. I'm like, what? There's a transgender state representative. Transgender state representative. The attack on real women, the attack on real women, how about biological women, continues. A bitch slapping. The Woman of the Year is a biological male. That's right. What a hero. Only in Bizarro-World would the world call someone a hero for denying their own gender and dressing as the other. Really, think about it. Now these wacko fruitcake ding-dongs want you to believe that it's perfectly normal to be like that. Well, if it's normal, why are we calling this person a hero? Why are we recognizing them at all? Why are we giving them a second thought? If it's normal and acceptable, why do we have to praise it and hold it up for everyone to see and make a big fucking deal out of it every single time? It's because it's not normal. It's abnormal. It's frickin' bizarre. They know it. And a bunch of virtue signaling idiots out there want to jump on board and let everyone know how on board they are with the stupidity and the craziness. Well, folks, the world is not buying it. So what is the indicator that I could point to say that the world is rejecting this fruitcake, bizarre, woke bunch of LGBTQ, whatever it is? Well, I'm going to use Disney. Disney has been a purveyor of perversion for a long time, and they're being called on it. They have gotten so out of hand with their woke crap and their attacks on normalcy, the family, and indeed children, that people have been abandoning them, canceling them. And now, folks, the evidence goes even further. You get woke, go broke. Disney is going to lay off thousands more of their workers. Not a couple hundred, folks, thousands. Now, when I've been to Disneyland back in 2011, Disney World, folks, Disney World in Florida. Went there with my kids, right? Because it used to be like a rite of passage. And trust me, I kept a close eye on my kids so they didn't disappear down some like a rabbit hole or some shit. Anyways, it didn't look like it required thousands of people to operate Disney. Maybe a couple of hundred. But it is so bad, they're going to lay off thousands of workers. What's that mean? You show up, there's going to be one person taking tickets at the gate and one person wearing a ratty, patch-ridden, moth-infested rat suit called Mickey Mouse. And that's it for people working there? May as well. Oh, yeah, unbelievable. And it continues, folks. Bizarro-World continues. When someone loves America, what are they now called? They're now called fascists. That's right, they're fascists. They're evil, they're right-wingers, they're white supremacists if you love America. And if you hate America, then you're a good person, I guess. Well, MSNBC, their panel sat down and talked about those who would criticize George Soros. And if you criticize George Soros, you are committing a dangerous act. Isn't that fascinating? George Soros is not an American. George Soros doesn't hand out money every week. George Soros is not a huge benefactor of America. He doesn't pay taxes as far as I know. He's not an American. But he has to be respected and revered, and we're not allowed to criticize the old Darth Vader emperor-looking POS who is funding the filthiest district attorneys that the socialist legal education system can grind out and put them in positions of authority. Right? Yes, folks. Yeah, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous practice to criticize anti-American, non-American pieces of crap. But, you know, if you feel like it, go ahead and attack DeSantis or Trump or attack Americans in general or patriotic groups. That's fine. Truly, folks, a bizarro world. But it is the mainstream media. And they also hold up this left-wing lunacy, these sexualized freaks out there called drag queens. In fact, I saw a meme today. They're no longer drag queens. What are they called? The clown. What are they? They're clown. They're just their faces are painted up like clowns. I mean, that's been obvious to me from the beginning. They're becoming more and more clown-like. They're basically perverted clowns. Clown groomers. That's what it said. Yeah. They're not drag queens, they're clown groomers. I think that makes the most sense. It does. But it is a bizarro world. I mentioned it very briefly this morning in the Zero Dark 30 broadcast, but Pentagon doctors, that's right, folks, people who are supposed to have medical degrees, serious degrees, they believe that children can make decisions about taking puberty blockers, hormones. Yeah, they can make that call. 7-year-old kids. Do 7-year-old kids get to decide what they want for dinner and get it? Can 7-year-old kids own property? No. Can they drive a car? No. A 7-year-old can push buttons on a nuclear launch pad panel, but really, should we allow them to do such a thing? No, because they don't understand. How can they understand? They're 7 years old. You can ask them a question, right? Little Johnny, are you a doctor? And he says, well, of course I'm a doctor. Well, what makes you a doctor, little 7-year-old Johnny? Well, because I say I am. Oh, yes, you're very qualified because you can say it. Children can be taught to repeat things. They are very good at parroting those around them. But when their intellect begins to engage, they think about things probably a little differently. Kind of like children who were in their teens, who started taking gender bender drugs and getting surgeries. And as they've grown older and become more mature, they realize that what they did to their bodies and their brains was a huge mistake. And they're now starting to sue the doctors. And I wish them good luck. Hey, you did it to yourself, dumbass, but sue away. It's Bizarro World. You may as well be able to sue someone else for a dumb decision you made. Unbelievable. Now, once again, Bizarro World. Here we are. Let's take a look. One of the most, I would say, feared actions that a human being can take, that we overcome on a daily basis, is to go get in an airplane and fly in the air and go somewhere. Because we know that if the plane falls out of the air, you're going to crash and you're going to die and you're probably going to burn too. So the people we want piloting our planes, it is critical, absolutely critical, that they maintain good health, a clear and sober mind, and that they know what they're doing, that they're competent. Well, get this, folks. Mid-flight, a Southwest Airlines pilot, decided that they were going to have a medical emergency. Became incapacitated, as it were. Take a wild guess. I don't remember this ever being a major issue. Now it's a major issue with airlines losing their pilots whether they're in the cockpit or at home. They're losing them. What has changed? What has changed? Just another wild guess from the Pfizer files. Woo! Okay, and I got a special donation, a Cash App donation from Mr. Richard, and he says, "Ad Victoriam to victory." I want to thank you very much for supporting the channel. Yeah, to victory. We really need to keep fighting, folks. We have a huge battle ahead of us over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, the next several years, the rest of our lives. We've taken advantage of and enjoyed an incredible life of comfort, an incredible life with a standard of living that is incredible. It's just high, and it's all being taken away. You know, and this phrase keeps coming back to me: you don't know what you've got till it's gone, right? We had freedom, we had liberty, we had control of our own government, and now what do we have? Well, we have a government that we don't control, and we're losing our freedoms and our liberties because the people in charge think they have the authority to take our freedom and liberty from us. So it's up to you and I to recall and remember what the Constitution says and what the Declaration of Independence says, and not just know it and read it, but truly understand it and then live it right in here. This is where it counts. And here, this is where it counts. Not just saying the words, but understanding freedom and liberty. The call for them, the belief that we are free human beings was enough. It was all it took when tyranny was in colonial America and they finally had enough of their rights being violated. And don't kid yourself, it took 50 some odd years for colonial Americans to finally have enough shit thrown at them by the government that they rebelled. Now, I got a message from someone in New Mexico saying that they are going to now look at secession, a portion of the state leaving the other portion of the state. I don't know if they're going to join Texas. I think that would be a brilliant move. Have several counties or portions of the state secede and move to Texas. We could always use more Texicans out there. Yeah. This is part, I believe, secession or redistricting states or states leaving, right? One state and becoming part of another. People are fed up, they're sick and tired, and they're disgusted with Washington, D.C. and all of these bizarre land freaks out here. And so they're doing what they can short of rebellion, short of becoming violent in the streets. That's really where they're at. They're just short of that. How much longer do you think it's going to take until more people are like, you know what, just fuck the whole thing altogether? We want out of Washington, D.C. and their control schemes. I think we're rapidly accelerating towards that. And I also think that technology for communication, technology for transportation, technology for education even is going to allow us to get there pretty quick, much quicker than I think the people in charge have suspected. And the other part is, just like 1776, the people have a means of self-defense. We have those, and we can fight back. It's just, will we? When will we? And then how or what form does that rebellion take? Because it's not really rebellion. I guess I should make that more clear. Folks, government is the one that is rebelling. See, rebellion is a rejection of authority. I don't know if you've thought of it that way. Rejection of authority is what rebellion is. Who is rejecting the people's authority? Who owns this country? The people. Who is rejecting that? The government. You know, who is the servant? Well, government. And so why is it trying to ruin our lives? Right? That is the rebellion right there. That truly is the rebellion. It is the government that is rebelling. It's refusing to accept its place. It's refusing to accept the orders that it's required to obey. Sounds pretty bad to me. Right? Sounds like we just need to put the blame where it belongs, on Washington, D.C. They're the ones violating the law. They're the ones violating our rights. Well, I tell you what, it is now time, right? It's time to do the Q&A. It's time to go to the inner circle. It's time to see what you guys want to talk about. And we're back. It is, folks, the Prepared Mind channel. This is Bizarro-World. It has hit the fan. Have you watched what's going on? Let's see. The Federal Reserve raises interest rates, and banks start to crash. Banks start to collapse. So banks crash, banks collapse, and then lo and behold, the Federal Reserve decides they're going to raise interest rates again. Talk about bizarro. That what has nothing to do with it, really. You see, it truly was, folks, all of the free money and the low interest rates that have kept the system going. Right? They were lowering interest rates for since 2008. Actually goes back to the 90s, but since 2008 and that crash, they've lowered them even more. So if that was supposed to help and make the economy better and stronger, why are they raising the interest rates now? That's right. It's not helping. It's making things worse. They're crashing this bitch on purpose. Jolene, who do we want to run up next? What topic do we want to hit? And it is Uman. He says he found out about the grand jury, got ahead of it, and made a publicity stunt for himself instead of letting the demtards make it publicity stunts for themselves. Uman, of course, is talking about President Donald J. Trump. And Uman is no giant, huge, amazing Trump lover forever, but he does recognize, and I think we all recognize, a smart move when we see it. Trump is a master of using propaganda and television. He's kind of like P.T. Barnum in a lot of ways. Publicity, it's all good for him. And so he used it. He did. I think it's rather brilliant in a way that President Trump took what they were going to use as a weapon against him and used it as a weapon, right, against his enemies, and not to allow it to be used against himself. Right? He exposed the other side. He made them play the game his way. And when Trump was president, I think a lot of people forget this. He used to do that a lot. He would go argue with these idiots in the media, and he wouldn't take their shit, and he would give it to them. He'd let them have it. And I thought it was quite entertaining at the very least, but he wasn't going to take their shit. And I think that a lot of people could probably learn some big lessons from that we don't have to take the left and their shit. So anyways, thank you very much, you man. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like Trump outflanked them. But boy, you want to talk about just political shit slinging. I think it is just barely begun. Okay, Jolene, what do we want to put up next? We got John. He says, Big John, this is the government our forefathers warned us about! Exclamation point. I agree wholeheartedly. Our forefathers, the founding fathers, the white, old, patriarchal males, and there were some young guys in there too, like James Madison. Anyways, they warned us about what is going on. Now, John continues, says, the military let a Chinese spy balloon fly over our country, and they did not defend us. Continued. We are on our own. Impeach Biden for treason. Yeah, because treason is a death penalty. It should be. It should be. It usually has been in the past. Treason, death penalty. Have you heard anyone in Congress say that Joe Biden has committed treason? That he's allowed our enemies to surveil us, to threaten us, right? To risk our national defense, our nuclear missile silos, right? In fact, I think it just came out again. And Karine Jean-Pierre, I think, was questioned about Joe taking money from the Chinese Communist government in payment for whatever services or benefits he's offered them. Where's the word impeachment, if not treason? Where is Speaker of the House McCarthy? Where is the impeachment talk? Don't we have enough evidence yet? All right, the jackasses down there in the federal government, their court system near Florida, they want to charge President Trump with crimes for having secret documents. Where's the investigation and the criminal charges for Biden having 10 times or more what Trump had? And Trump claimed, he says, those were declassified. As president, I had the authority to declassify them. That would kind of explain some things. I don't think Biden has yet to make that claim that he declassified all of the classified and secret documents that have been, found just kind of rolling around in the bushes at his house. I don't think they were rolling around in the bushes. They were in boxes, folks, in his garage. That's where secret documents should be kept. Unbelievable. Really. It is fucking Bizarro-World. And I say unbelievable, and I don't know if it's overused, right? Next thing you know, I'm going to start saying inconceivable. But it's been conceived by these people, and it's actually happening. All right. Let's roll on to the next one. Let's just keep rolling with it. Blue Cord Devil steps on up. I hope everything's well with your brother and the family. He says, hear about the battery manufacturing opening up in Michigan. It's going to be under Chinese Communist Party control. And they're going to bring in 300 of their people to work there and housing them at the local university. Well, Michigan. What is Michigan? Michigan. Isn't that the state where Gretchen, the anti-American Grinch, right, when people were protesting her unlawful lockdowns, she just said, well, fine, then we'll lock you down for a longer period if you want to protest and, right, to disobey me. Oh, yeah, folks, that's what was going on there. It truly is just unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. We're going to allow the communists to open up their battery factory, bring in their workers, and then house them at a local university. This sounds like Michigan and liberalism just going hand in hand, marching down the primrose path to anti-American destruction. So American businesses take our technology and they send it overseas to China and India and other countries. But other countries and their flawed governments, they want to open a business here. I'm sure they won't pay taxes. I'm sure there's a special deal for them. I'm very sure of it. All right. I've got a special edition of the Wild World of Sports. Well, here we go again. A 19-year-old boxing champion, super athlete. His family described him as supremely fit. To be a fighter, whether you're a boxer, you're in MMA, you've got to be supremely fit. You've got to be highly talented. Well, this 19-year-old young man, super athlete, has suddenly died. That's how it works, folks. You know, super athletes just suddenly dying. These fucking people. We're supposed to believe it's not the Jim Jones juice. We're supposed to believe it's not the crap they're putting in people's bodies. Crazy. All right, Jolene, who do we want to put up next on the Prepared Mind channel? It is Charles Gentry. And he says, hey, just a thought. Are they, meaning the United States and NATO, are they trying to push Putin into using an unnameable so the world, well, turns against him? That's what they hope. And he's the bad guy. Or the really big picture, deplete the U.S. and NATO of ammo stockpiles, let them put up an effort and a fight to be defeated and surrender to you-know-who. Yeah, there's a couple different ways to look at this, because I think all of these things are happening at once. Well, ammo stockpiles, they're being depleted. In Europe especially, but even America, running low. So what do? They turn to the military-industrial complex and say, hey, we need more ammunition, please. And they're going to send that ammunition over there to Ukraine where they can burn it up. Oh, by the way, one of the components of nitrocellulose, or gunpowder, if you will, is sulfur. They're putting all that sulfur in the air. Isn't that going to cause acid rain? I'm sure compared to, old-fashioned sulfur-rich fuel, gasoline, it's nothing compared to that. Now, the United States and NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, what are they trying to do? Well, they are pushing and pushing and pushing, and they're trying to make Putin do something crazy. They want Putin to launch a nuclear bomb. They want Putin to do something so that the world can hate him fully. You see, I don't really think that the world hates Putin the way we're supposed to believe Putin is hated. I don't think that they buy it. I mean, nobody that I know wants to go fly to Russia and sit down and have dinner with Putin. Unless they're already there. Someone like Steven Seagal, I guess. But still, nobody loves the Putin, but I don't think anyone really believes he's the bad guy. From his chair, from his desk, and imagine this, folks. We are in most of this audience in the United States of America, and we look out across the Atlantic to Europe, and we look out across the Pacific to China and Japan and Australia. We look north to Canada, and we look south to Latin America. And, it's a long way from Russia. But if you were in Russia and you were looking out at the world from Moscow, from the Kremlin, the only thing you're really going to see is, well, to the west, Europe. And you've got a huge military industrial machine that wants to put nuclear weapons on your border. You're going to feel fucking threatened. You're going to feel threatened. So why wouldn't they, folks, be saying it's all about the war? Well, that's kind of what they're saying. And there's also been this other call. They want to make Putin the bad guy. They want to push him into using a nuclear weapon. They tried blaming him for blowing up his own gas pipeline. I mean, it's complete bizarro land. And then Putin, who is reviled by the media and governments around the world, well, if they want to stay in the good graces of the United States and Europe, they have to, swear allegiance and fealty to them and then swear that they hate Putin. Putin is not leaving Russia, especially since I think he has some health issues. So if Putin isn't going to leave Russia, why would they issue an arrest warrant except to make him sound bad and make them sound like they're really strong law enforcement types? They're going to come after Putin. But Russian spokesmen, Russian political speakers, bureaucrats, elected officials, they say, if you arrest Putin, there will be war. Well, that makes sense to me. Right? The world is getting tired of the bully. Folks, I have heard some of the most patriotic people in their videos, people who have been Americans their whole lives, born American, love America, have fought for America in the armed services. They're looking at what's going on in the world, and they're seeing the United States government, Washington, D.C., acting like an out-of-control bully. They've weaponized the dollar. They've weaponized our policy. Basically, if you don't like American Washington, D.C. policy, then you're treated like the enemy and you're sanctioned and you're punished. Is that really how we're supposed to have relationships? Like if you and I went around and we didn't like each other and we started bashing each other with shovels over the head, right? It wouldn't last very long, right? We would all be at war. Well, that's what these governments are doing. The United States and European Union governments is they're trying to bash other nations over the head. And it's causing nothing but trouble. I tell you. Are you prepared? Do you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? Do you have a plan? Are you set? Do you see what's coming? I do. I really do. I just see things escalating really fast here. You know, I watched the way the stock market has been working. I've watched the way precious metals have been trading. I've watched the way the banking system is treating everything. It's a big joke to them. It's a big piggy bank, and they don't care about you and I at all. Right? The whole world is starting to suffer, and they're ignoring, absolutely ignoring every single indicator. Crazy stuff. Well, let's do this. Let's get off my rant. Let's get back to your rant. What do you guys want to talk about? Your turn. Get your questions in. It is Blue Cord Devil. He says, this is in addition to a statement. The locals are not happy, to say it nicely. Not happy. The locals are not happy. There's very few places, I think, where the locals are happy. I live in a very, shall we say, comfortable area of the country. I think comfort is a good way to put it. It's not freezing cold. It doesn't get too terribly hot. I'm enjoying it pretty good. The economy is relatively good. The people are friendly. There's a lot of tourists that come around and hang out. Everyone seems pretty happy here. But I look around the country and I look and I listen. I get a lot of people communicating with me. They don't say that. People aren't quite as happy as they would expect them to be. But then again, we have an absolute idiot sitting as president. Says he likes babies more than adults. And just, why would he say that? You know, especially with all of the footage of Joe Biden groping on children. Crazy stuff, folks. All right. Let us move on if we shall. We're going to go to the New Cavalry. He says, Semper Fi, brother. And I say, Semper Fi. He says, just joined. Was on Patreon, but you know, sent you a Cash App. Awesome. I really appreciate it. He says, my also is New Cavalry. Looking forward to more great content. Head on the swivel and stand to. That's right, folks. You don't have to be in the military to say Semper Fi. You just have to really believe in what matters. Welcome, New Cavalry. Welcome to everybody who's showing. We're getting people subscribing all the time. What's interesting is we have people unsubscribing all the time, but we still have almost 82,000 people here on the Prepared Mind Network. And we're not mobilized. That's right, folks. We're all complacent. Not all of us totally complacent, but we're not ready to fight yet. There is no Prepared Mind army out there lining up in the streets, right? Marshaling up, you know, not happening. What is it going to take? What will it take before that happens? I don't know. Is it going to be a Prepared Mind army? No. And it's going to be Americans. And that's really what it's going to be all about. It's just Americans. Americans are going to line up. They're going to muster in the streets and they're going to say, that's enough of this shit at some point. Are you prepared for the day that happens? Do you have to be one of the ones out there? No, I'm not saying that. Because those people that are out there, maybe completely uneducated idiots, and they're just going to get mowed down, right? I do not want to be a sheep led to slaughter. So we have to be very careful and very wise about what is happening in this world. We saw an example of that last week as the call for protests against Trump's arrest occurred. And turned out, a bunch of leftists showed up at them. And the American people actually said, you know what? I don't think so. Not after January 6th. So I think people are kind of wising up. At some point, I guess things will get addressed. Problems will get fixed. They have to. If they don't get fixed, then governments collapse. Civilizations collapse. That's just how it works. Let's do this. Let's do another question, another comment, another thought. And it is Chin Music. He says, John, Uman nailed it with the shiny object reference. They have no intention of indicting Trump. Just distracting from Joe and Blow. Blow meaning the Vice President, Camel Toes Harris. The banks and East Palestine. That's right. What happened to the toxic chemical spill at Palatine, East Palatine? Well, I'll tell you what. He says the DIF fund has $127 billion to cover $17.6 trillion. Well, I don't know those numbers exactly, the DIF fund. I don't know exactly which ones those are, but we do have, folks, when you add up all of the national debt and you add up all the unfunded liabilities, that is, bills that the federal government has to pay, they've promised to pay, they said they'll pay, bills for which they've collected money like Social Security, right? All those pensions and retirements. I believe it's well over $100 trillion. It could be 150 trillion, but it's that many trillions. And then we find out that, well, different government funds have just a few $1 billion here and a few $1 billion there. Like the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. They don't have enough money to cover all the accounts if we have a major banking failure. Anyways, it's great. Uman nailed it with the shiny object. Yeah, it changes all the time. Everyone was all upset about East Palestine and the train wreck. And they wanted to know what the hell and why and where. And now everyone's kind of forgot it. The banks, oh, that can be back in the news in about 2 seconds. The banks are ready to fail. The banks are ready. The banks are ready to fall. They truly are. They do not have the capital. And the Federal Reserve just squeezed them harder with another 1/4 point increase in the interest rate. What's funny though, and look at it from this way. Let's see, the bank, they have to pay 5% for their money, 4.5% for their money, and they can't manage to live on that percentage. They can't pay it back. Yet you and I have credit cards that are now 12, 15, 18%. I was telling you guys the other day, I got a notice from one of the credit cards that I have saying, if you miss a payment, it's going all the way to 29.99%. Yet you and I are expected to pay our bills. We're expected to work our ass off, pay our bills, be on time. But these banks can't survive at 4% interest, 5% interest. Yep, and so Jerome Powell's making it harder. They don't even have to do anything, folks. All these banks have to do is invest intelligently. And that is another reason I think they're going to continue failing. They're not investing intelligently. They're investing like a bunch of radical left-wing high school idiots with this ESG, environmental social governance investment techniques. We keep hearing and discovering that these banks have left-wing fruitcakes running their boards, running their investment teams. So they're just throwing money at anything that sounds good. And it's really, folks, the symptom. It's a symptom. They've had almost 50 years, or is it 50 years, of easy money printing, lots of liquidity, lots of cash available, lots of cash flow to keep things going, especially since quantitative easing. They've had even more cash. But cash isn't what's needed to make an economy work and a country work, right? How about, let's see, good government, low taxes, and free people? But no, ESG, these fruitcakes with purple hair or green hair, they want to invest in, let's see, soy burgers and death shots. That seems to be their investment routine and regimen. And it's showing. They're going under. I think it was Moderna. That is looking at filing for bankruptcy. What happened to all those billions of dollars they got for the Jim Jones juice? Where did all that money and that profit go as the government demanded that everyone take that shit and then take it again? How can they not be profitable with all that easy money that was forced out of our pockets and into theirs? Yet here we are. I guess it would be more bad investing. Unbelievable. Jolene, here we are. It's got Charles Gentry says, this is coming down to the battle of the V's. Victims or victors? The victims rule at the moment. Everyone else is wrong, right? They are not going to be willing to give up the control they have gained, though in a peaceful manner, yeah. How have the victim class, so let's call them the victim class, how have they gained control? By evoking sympathy and shoving guilt down people's throat. All of these victims, the leftist victims, whether you're a member of a race that appears to be being held down, you're a victim, right? So because of your skin color, you're a victim. Really? Yeah, you're a victim. Let's see, if you're a member of any minority, well, except Asian. If you're Asian, you're no longer allowed. It used to be that women were the victims. Women are victims of men and the patriarchy. Where'd that go? Just in the last 5 years, that's disappeared. Well, now we have non-women representing women. It's been incredible. The radical, super radical feminists, where are they? Why aren't they in the streets marching? Well, because now the left is fighting itself even. The victims are battling the other victims. The victimized women are trying to battle the victimized gender benders, but they're losing. So yeah, that's how they've gotten it. By guilting people into it, by making people feel sorry for them, pity, right? Demanding that they be tolerated, demanding that we be tolerant of them. And all the while, as they gain favor, right? Now we are the victims, folks. But I don't claim victimhood. I hope that you don't. But they are victimizing us, and they're victimizing America. They're attacking America and saying, America, you can't fight back. They're attacking our cultures and traditions and saying defending it is wrong. Years ago, I had to put up with a bunch of anti-Columbus bullshit. Columbus bad, Columbus bad, Columbus bad. Because, he brought all of the problems of Europe over here. So now Columbus, his statues have been destroyed. Who's the victim? Who truly is? It's America. It's the people. And it's going to be one hell of a fight to get it all back. Jolene, do we have more? Yes, we do. Oh, it's Michael Brown. He says, aren't cell phones, internet, GPS, video games actually weapons? Hashtag DARPANet says, yeah. Well, I think they're definitely weapons, Mike. It's a interesting topic to bring up. Cell phones are a weapon. How is that a weapon? Well, when the enemy needs to know where you are so they can attack you, right? That's reconnaissance or it's intel. So the phone actually acts as a weapon that can be used against you. It can reveal your weaknesses. It can reveal your location. It can be used to take things from you. Same with the internet. GPS, yeah, that reveals your location directly. And video games, right? Children today, do you think that they're in better shape than they were when we were kids? Or do you think they're a bunch of, they're more than likely to be overweight and under exercised because they want to play video games and they're on the internet They play with their phones. When I was a kid, we didn't have phones. We had, when I was a kid, we had footballs and baseballs, and we're told to go outside and come back after the sun sets. Yep. Thank you, Michael Brown. Yeah, they are. Everything is weaponized against us. Your opinion is weaponized against you. Right now, Michael Brown, if you look at the picture there, he appears to be black. If he does not toe the left-wing lunatic belief system line, then he'll be called names like Uncle Tom or a white supremacist. I am obviously a white guy, or at least I think it's obvious. And if I don't toe the left line, then I am a white supremacist and a neo-Nazi and everything else, right? So yeah, everything is weaponized. Our skin color, our race, our gender, where we live, everything is weaponized against us. Because everyone that doesn't like us claims to be a victim. So yeah, we can't fight a real war with them. It's a war over control of the mind. It truly is a mental war. It's a psychological war, and they want to own the battlefield by claiming victimhood, and then defining what is good and what is bad. Being trans is not good, but they say it is. I don't believe it, but they say it is because they want to own it. They want to own that as a victory. They're a victim who claims victory. Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, I'm going to cancel the rest of this day and I'm going to leave it. It is a bizarro world, folks. It's fucking bizarre off the hook. Think about it. None of this shit actually makes sense, but it's what's happening. Crazy, crazy days. What do we got? Did Jolene just say we got one more? We got one more? Well, let's do it real quick. What the hell? Great news. Zooman says progress on the EICO will officially resume. My son ordered the rear end today, the El Camino. Rewiring starts this weekend. I tell you what, I don't know. Sounds like propaganda for El Caminos to me. That is great news, man. I would love to hear that thing roll. See it roll also. Anyways, folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Go to thepreparedmind.club and buy what you need to buy if you can't buy it anywhere else. Just be sure and buy it. Literally. You know it. Semper Fi, Godspeed.